Welcome back. We're reading The Pocket Buddha. It's a very cute book. I read it a lot at work. We're in the section titled Love. Putting down all barriers, let your mind be full of love. Let it pervade all quarters of the world, so that the whole wide world, above, below, and around, is pervaded with love. Let it be sublime and beyond measure, so that it abounds everywhere. Digha Nikaya. Of all the ways you can think of, none has a 16th part of the value of loving kindness. Loving kindness is a freedom of the heart which takes in all the ways. It is luminous, shining, blazing forth. Just as the stars have not a 16th part of the moon's brilliance, which absorbs them all in its shining light, so loving kindness absorbs all other ways with its lustrous splendor. Just as when the rainy season ends and the sun rises up into the clear and cloudless sky, banishing all the dark in its radiant light, and just as the end of a black night the morning star shines out in glory, so none of the ways you can use to further your spiritual progress has a 16th part of the value of loving kindness. For it absorbs them all. Its luminosity shines forth. Itvutka Sutta. Very interesting, very loving verse. Okay, this itself is the whole of the journey, opening your heart to that which is lovely, because of their feeling for the lovely. Beings who are afraid of birth and death, aging and decaying, are freed from their fear. This is the way you must train yourself. I will become a friend and an intimate of the lovely. To do this, I must closely observe and embrace all states of mind that are good. Samyutta Nikaya. It's interesting to say that if once you are freed from the fear of aging, death, and birth, you will overcome. The Buddha was told that his father, King Sudhondana, was getting old and anxious to see him. Consequently, he traveled a long distance to his father's palace in Kapilavatthu, taking 2 months for the journey and teaching on the way. His disciples went with him, and arrangements were made for the party to stay in the royal park when they arrived. But the court attendants looked down on the Buddha for giving up his princehood and becoming a homeless wanderer, and they saw to it that no food was provided for his noonday meal, his only one of the day. Think about that. He gave up the riches of the world, became a homeless wanderer, and he had to endure the people thinking he was less than. Tells you a lot. How many people could let that go? Many people can't even let go their Instagram likes. Untroubled, the Buddha took his begging bowl and went from house to house in Kapilavatthu, his disciples with him. The king was told of this and hurried out to the Buddha, demanding to know why he was disgracing the family in this way. To beg is the custom of our order, the Buddha told him. The king was astonished. But ours is a warrior lineage, and not a single warrior has ever gone out begging. The warrior lineage is yours, O king, answered the Buddha. Mine is the Buddha lineage. Standing in the street, he advised the king, be alert, be attentive, lead a good life. The good live happily in this world and the next. The king saw the truth of this. He took the bowl from the Buddha and led him and the disciples to the palace, where he served them with food. From then on, he lived a thoughtful and unpretentious life. Digha Nikaya. To tell his father, like, hey, I'm not going to the warrior class, I'm going to the Buddha class. It's brave. When people speak badly of you, you should respond in this way. Keep a steady heart and don't reply with harsh words. Practice letting go of resentment and accepting that the other's hostility is the spur to your understanding. Be kind, adopt a generous standpoint, treat your enemy as a friend, and suffuse all your world with affectionate thoughts, far-reaching and widespread, limitless and free from hate. In this state you should try to remain. Dhampada. That's hard to do. Definitely hard to do. Not to put people in their place when they need to be put in their place. The Buddha was joined by his own son, Rahula, a young boy. He advised him, cultivate, Rahula, a meditation on loving kindness, for by cultivating loving kindness, ill will is banished forever. Cultivate, too, a meditation on compass, for by cultivating compassion, you will find harm and cruelty disappear. Oh, cultivate a meditation on compassion. Oh, not a compass, sorry. Majjhima Nikaya. A person who gives freely is loved by all. It's hard to understand, but it is by giving that we gain strength. But there is a proper time and proper way to give. I agree with that. Like people say, like Christmas time, why can't we just give things all year round? And then one time I did give somebody a Christmas gift. Like it was like I guess you can't call it a Christmas gift, but I gave them a gift trying to keep that spirit going, and that person thought I was hitting on them, and I was like, okay, this is not a good idea. So it's hard. You really have to know the situation and the person, right? And the person who understands this is strong and wise. By giving with a feeling of reverence for life, envy and anger are banished. Look at that. Through giving, you can be less prone to having envy, he's contending. A path to happiness is found, like one who plants a sapling and in due course receives shade, flowers, and fruit. So the results of giving bring joy. The way there is through continuous acts of kindness, so that the heart is strengthened by compassion and giving. Majjhima Nikaya. A rich man said to the Buddha, I see you are the awakened one, and I would like to open my mind to you and ask your advice. My life is full of work, and having made a great deal of money, I am surrounded by cares. I employ many people who depend on me to be successful. However, I enjoy my work and like working hard. But having heard your followers talk of the bliss of a hermit's life, and seeing you as one who gave up a kingdom in order to become a homeless wanderer and find the truth, I wonder if I should do the same. I long to do what is right and to be a blessing to my people. Should I give up everything to find the truth? The Buddha replied, The bliss of a truth-seeking life is attainable for anyone who follows the path of unselfishness. So indeed, their path is titled the path of unselfishness. If you cling to your wealth, it is better to throw it away than let it poison your heart. I think many of us should remember that, especially when people like Floyd Mayweather and others are inspiring you to be flamboyantly absurd and pompous with your wealth. And only attaching your value to wealth is a very dangerous way that will lead to definite depression. But if you don't cling to it, but use it wisely, then you will be a blessing to people. It's not wealth and power that enslave men, but the clinging to wealth and power. It's a thing we should remember. My teaching does not require anyone to become homeless or resign the world unless he wants to, but it does require everyone to free himself from the illusion that he is a permanent self, and to act with integrity while giving up his craving for pleasure. And whatever people do, whether in the world or as a recluse, let them put their whole heart into it. Let them be committed and energetic, and if they have to struggle, let them do it without envy or hatred. Let them live not a life of self, but a life of truth, and in that way bliss will enter their hearts. Majjhima Nikaya. It's so beautiful. You can be a recluse, right? But whatever you decide to do, you need to really put your energy in it. You gotta be for it. Whatever it is you want to do, right? And then, when you're really into it, it's going to lead to something much better. In reply to the question, what is the best that people can possess? What brings them truest happiness? What is the sweetest of the sweet? And what is the pleasant life to live? The Buddha answered, Trust is the best that people can possess. Following the way brings truest happiness. Truth is the sweetest of the sweet, and the practice of insight is the pleasantest way to live. Sutta Nipata. Think about that. The practice of insight is the pleasant way to live. Philosophy, theology, contemplating, poetry, art, cognition in general, right? Thinking, using your mind, not just being a passive receiver of information, but participating in the process itself, right? That's a beautiful thing. That's why when people tell you your major in college, that's a waste of time, you're a waste of time, you learning music is a waste of time. People love in the STEM fields to bash anyone who might want to not just be an engineer or a chemical engineer and might want to resign. Don't let that happen. We all need each other. We all benefit from each other. No one's better than anyone in their fields. It's very popular right now to say otherwise. So remember that, family. It's interesting. The practice of insight. We should remember that.